This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for June 26, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 71, and episode number 510 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard, and she is
Taylor Welch.
And we are back. That's right. After taking about, I think it's like 4 weeks now since the last time we talked, Taylor, and at least on the Power Play Post Show. Although we've been kind of like quiet with each other the last 4 weeks. You were on vacation, had some craziness that that you guys came back to. You guys were like out on the beach with horses, which was kind of crazy, but that's a fun little story as well. But yeah, we haven't talked in like 4 weeks. It's been kind of quiet, but the signings are starting to happen now. But Taylor, the last 4 weeks for you, first of all, talk about where did you go on vacation?
So we went to the Outer Banks, and it's the 4x4 beach. So you have to have a vehicle that can drive on the beach. It's by far my favorite place I've ever gone because there's not a lot of people. It's very quiet. I feel like there's more horses than there are people.
Nice.
And we actually, the one day the horses were up on the dune and they came running right down off the dune right at us. So we kind of hurried our way away from them and they just kept following us. So it was kind of stressful for a moment.
Now
especially when I have a 4-year-old who my mom's horse looks like the one stallion and she just wants to pet him in the worst way.
Now from what I noticed, from what, seeing the pictures that you were posting, you were up very early every morning. Was that the case for the rest of the family?
No, that was pretty much just me and my mom. She got up because she likes to walk. She does about 4 miles in the morning before coming back to make breakfast for everybody. I did the walk a couple days with her, but it was mostly I like to get up early to go get the sunrise. That's my favorite part about vacation is the sunrises. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Especially on the beach. My wife and I vacation at Point Pleasant Beach in New Jersey. And so same type of thing for me. I get up very early. I'll go to the end of the kind of the walkway to our room and just, watch the sun come up over the ocean, which is just I don't care if it's North Carolina or New Jersey or even probably parts of Staten Island. That sunrise coming up off the Atlantic Ocean is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just peaceful. It's just nice.
It really is. I have questions about the horses, and you've answered a couple of those questions off the air. But for some of the fans that don't know, the horses actually are looked after, but they're pretty much wild, and they eat, grasses that they find, and they drink water. But that was the couple things that you told me. Where do they sleep? Do you guys know? Do you know where they sleep?
It depends. Certain parts of the year, like when it gets really hot, they'll go further back into the swamps. There's even wild pigs down there. We've never seen them because they stay pretty far back in. And the roads back, the further you go, get a little more sketchy. And because this is the time of year where they tend to have a lot of foals. And for the first couple months, they will keep the foals as far away, like into the swamp part as they can until they're a little bit bigger. And then they'll start venturing out to the beaches and stuff, and people can see them. Like this year, right now, they have about 9. But they are completely wild, and there are signs everywhere that tell you, you need to stay a certain... They recommend 50 feet, which doesn't seem like a huge distance, but they mind their own P's and Q's if you mind yours. They are taken care of to the sense of they're watched as, to make sure that the herd is okay or to keep tabs on the amount of horses there are. But they're well looked at.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Was this the first time you guys were down there, or have you guys been down there before?
My parents go about every year for the past like 6 years or so. This is my third or fourth time.
Now, did Jeremy
I've
bring
missed a couple here?
Now you said a 4x4. Did your or 4x4 vehicle? Did Jeremy bring the race car? No.
He probably wishes, but no, we ended up just riding with my parents because it was just a lot easier.
No, I'm not surprised. Well, that's very, very, very cool. All right, let me get through the must reads. The Power Play Post is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Yeah, pretty much. People are still, even though it's been kind of quiet the last month, people are still joining the Facebook group. So go ahead and check that out. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. I've been updating over the past 4 weeks the binghamtonhockey.net. It's going to look a little different. I'm just modernizing the look of it. So please check that out. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, other than Taylor and I, which is probably the best part of the show anyways, we have from the Binghamton Black Bears forward Austin Thompson. And what's pretty cool is if you're listening to this, you already know that Austin Thompson has re-signed with the team, but that's only the third person of that. So, Taylor, before we get into just kind of reading through some of these notes about the guys that have returned, when you have three guys immediately come back who were staples the last couple of years with the championships, how big do you think that is for the Black Bears in the 25-26 season that these three gentlemen are already coming back?
I think it's pretty big. I think it's just going to help set the mindset that they want to do a three-peat and just kind of keep that momentum going even into the offseason here.
No, 100%. All right. So Tyson Kirkby returns to the Black Bears for a fifth season. Kirkby has become a staple in the Black Bears lineup since he joined the team late in the franchise inaugural season. Since then, Kirkby has now become the franchise leader in games played, 164, goals 115, assists 154, points with 269, and PIMs with 323, which also put him sixth in Binghamton hockey history for goals, assists, and points. All three of them, believe it or not, those numbers right there also put him in sixth place in Binghamton hockey history, which I think is pretty cool. He has served as team captain for the last 2 seasons during the Black Bears back-to-back title runs. This past season, Kirkby was called up twice to the ECHL's Adirondack Thunder and Reading Royals, where he scored 2 goals in 1 weekend. Kirkby was the first on the team in terms of assists with 60 and total points of 97, and he was second in goals with 37, setting a new career high. He would go on to finish second in the SPHL in total points. In the 4 postseason runs with Binghamton, Kirkby has now produced 14 goals, 15 assists. He scored the final goal of the 2025 season in Game 3 of the Commissioner Cup Finals versus Carolina. Before we move on, Taylor, your thoughts on obviously the captain coming back?
I think it was smart to make him the first one to come back. I think that's what we did last year as well.
Yes.
I think the fact that they're going to look at, I mean, at least from our fans and the players that are coming back or the new players coming in, they're going to look at it that we still have Brant, we still have our captain. And, as more signings keep coming out this week of the returning players, I think it's just going to help keep everybody excited and ready to go for this three-peat into this next season.
I also think that, they're talking about three-peat. The hunger has to start with Brant and Tyson, right? Like that hunger, you've already won 2. And sometimes they say it's really hard after winning just 1 championship to come back and have the same hunger and that same drive. So I think it's important that Tyson and Brant both do that. Now, one of the things I've noticed, and I'm pretty sure you probably noticed as well, Tyson's been making the rounds. He's still in Binghamton doing things. Like he's been taking the cup around to different businesses. I think he's almost like selling not merchandise, but he's almost like selling, corporate sponsorships in a sense by taking that cup around to all these different businesses.
Yeah, I've seen all the pictures about him making his rounds, and I think that's pretty awesome. I think if you ask me, the hunger's already started, and he's already making that note.
All right, let's move on to the next signing.
Jesse Anderson has also returned for his 4th season with the Black Bears. Anderson first joined the organization in the 2022-23 season after playing the previous year in Roanoke. He played in 26 games during the regular season in all 5 playoff contests. For the past 2 years, Anderson has transitioned to playing on the blue line, and his points have flourished. He has 70 assists and 21 goals since making the full-time switch to defense, including 9 multi-assist games in this past season. Jesse has served as an assistant captain the last 2 years during the Black Bears title runs. In the postseason, Anderson has appeared in every playoff game in the last 3 years and retains a plus-minus rating of plus 12. With his re-signing, the Black Bears have brought back 2 players from the Commissioner Cup's championship squad.
Okay, so obviously it's important that Jesse comes back. I'm kind of privy to some of the other things that are going on right now in the kind of the world of the the Black Bears, behind the scenes a little bit. I think it's very important that Jesse was the second person to come back. First of all, he plays on the defense. He is going to help, also in a sense, being part of that leadership group, kind of sell the team going forward.
Yeah, I think having Jesse signed again just kind of helps keep the leadership intact and just keeps pushing it forward that it's going to be another great year.
Yeah, the impacts of getting both Tyson and Jesse Anderson back are huge. First of all, recruitment, right? And I think there, Taylor, the recruitment is this, right? When you have not only just, Jesse and Tyson, but now Austin Thompson, I think it's easier to recruit young guys, right? Because they see that the core leadership group is back, and that probably makes it easier for, Coach Sherwood to be able to, talk to players and say, hey, listen, go talk to Austin Thompson, give him a call, right? Or talk to Tyson or talk to Jesse, right? Or those guys might be bringing players that they know of to Brant to be able to talk to. So I think recruitment is probably the biggest thing here about getting these guys back pretty quick.
Yeah, I kind of have a little bit different opinion. I don't think Brant's going to have a hard time with the recruitment.
Yeah.
I think if there's any young players out there that kind of have any idea of what's gone on in Binghamton the last couple of years, that I have a feeling Brant's got enough people that want to come and play that he's going to have some figurings out to do to get it kind of narrowed down and find the best ones to come in.
Yeah, and we've got 2 of the best players in the league are back with a proven track record. You add Austin Thompson on there, and you probably have 3 of the top maybe 10, 15 guys in the league back on this team already. I think that's huge.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I can already see the other teams complaining that we brought all of our players back again because that's what happened last year.
Did fans really complain that we brought back our players and that was a bad... I don't understand how that's a bad thing, but...
It was basically... they made comments that, of course, we were doing so well this past year because we brought the same exact players back in.
No. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Taylor, that's not the only announcement that the Black Bears have made in the past week. What was the other one?
The home opener has been announced, and that will be October 10th of this year versus, as many people probably already guessed, the Watertown Wolves.
Because we're only going to play them about 1,000 times this year. I'm hearing it could be potentially 16 times against the Wolves.
Oh, that's better than that year that we played Danbury 18 times, I guess.
Well, guess how many times you think we might be playing Danbury this year?
Probably the same as Watertown, if not more.
All right, so go through the previous home openers for us.
The previous home openers, we have a 3-1 overall record. Mm-hmm. In 2021, we had a win versus Delaware for a 5-4 score in front of a sellout of 4,893 fans.
Okay.
The 2022 season, we had a win versus Elmira for a 10-1 in front of 4,021 fans. 2023, we had a win versus Elmira again as a 5-2 score in front of 4,063 fans. And last year was our first loss as the home opener against Watertown, It was 5-3 for Watertown in front of 4,626 fans for the banner raising for our new shiny flag that we're going to have another one to do this year.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, everybody said, who cares if we lost that first game, blah, 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 blah. And I was the only one probably so cranky after that game or all season long because we lost on that damn banner raising night. But yeah, so a 3-1 record, that's not bad on home openers. October 10th, it fits right in. Our home openers are very early in the season. The arena, I hate saying it this way, but the arena is never really being used that much. So basically, when the Black Bears want to be there, they can be there, which is pretty good. So your thoughts on home opener against Watertown again?
I think it's a good thing. Even with the loss last year, I mean, the 3-1 for the previous years, it's still a pretty good record. And I understand the frustration for having it be a loss, the banner raising and everything. But at the same time, you have, who knows how many new players are just, they're getting their legs back. It's kind of a working out the kinks and the bugs. And I'd rather that happen early on in the season than later on. Yeah,
there's no preseason. There's no preseason games generally for the Black Bears. I know a couple teams will have a game or two, but generally in the Fed, there isn't any preseason games. You're obviously not close enough really to Watertown or Danbury to probably do it. I mean, maybe if Elmira was in the league still, that could be a consideration to have a preseason game, but it doesn't usually happen. So you're right. Those first couple games, I mean, if you remember last year, we're going to talk. I talked with Austin about this in the interview that fans are going to get to hear in just a few minutes. Basically, Tomer wasn't that good in the first game or two, right? And then in the third game against Hudson Valley, down in Hudson Valley, had a 5-point night. So realistically, I mean, those first couple games are sometimes you're just working out the kinks.
Yeah, I think, I know they train all summer long or they have the camps and they go through all this stuff. But I think that first game when you're actually back into it, because, I mean, even practices isn't, it's not a game.
Yeah.
So I think the first game when they're getting their feet back under them and they're doing shifts and they're back into it again, I think is where they've got to work out the bugs.
No, it's true, but just don't lose that first game. I'm just saying, don't lose that first game, please. I really want to win that game. And last year was on my birthday. So not only did they lose on banner raising night, they lost on my birthday. So, but that's, I'm just saying.
Well, maybe they'll make up for it this year.
Maybe. The Black Bears on Thursday, which is today as you're listening to this, June 26th, they're having their first ever equipment and merchandise sale at the arena. Now, from what I'm being told, and I think they already announced, Brant Sherwood and Tyson Kirkby will be there. So will one representative of the Power Play Post Show. I will be there floating around, probably trying to bug Brant Sherwood way too much, but that's I'll be there. They will have, according to their announcement, jerseys, sticks, helmets, gloves, and more. All the goalie stuff will be gone in the first 15 minutes. I'm kidding. It won't be gone in the first 15 minutes, but I'm sure the goalie stuff will go quick, whatever goalie stuff is there. You can join the Black Bears on Thursday evening at the arena. I think it's at the Salamita Speedy Zone. I have no idea where that is. Do you know where that is?
I think it's where you and I enter. I think it's the downstairs area.
Downstairs. Okay, that's the Salamita Speedy Zone. Okay, downstairs.
I think so.
I don't know. You know what? If I'm wrong, Brooks, you can yell at me about that. But it's going to be from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow. Again, from what I'm being told, Tyson and Tyson, who's already been making the rounds. He was probably at the mayor's office today. Who knows? But they will be there. Tyson and Brant will be there. I think that'll be kind of interesting. This is the first time. I know that the Sens have done this before, and I'm pretty sure the Sens have done this before. But I heard from behind the scenes that, the arena wouldn't let them do this in the middle of the summer. Have the fans come in and buy the old, the merchandise and the equipment and stuff like that. I'm hearing this is the first time that the arena is allowing the team to do this. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All right, so I set myself up for something really bad, and Taylor's now going to ask me 5 questions. I have no idea, fans, what these questions are about. Once we get done with these, we'll get to the interview with Austin Thompson and hear about his engagement and, of course, re-signing with the Black Bears. But I figured it would be kind of fun to let somebody, Taylor, ask me some questions about hockey or about anything. I don't know what these are. She actually did, and I will preface it this. She did say, do you want to know the questions ahead of time? She offered them up to me. I did not know them. I don't know if they're trivia, my opinion. We'll see. But Taylor, take it away.
All right. Well, I will say none of them are trivia questions.
Oh, thank God. I'd be cheating and looking them up on Google anyway. So, I mean,
they're all kind of either your opinion or kind of related to how you feel about things. In all honesty.
All right.
So my first question, because you have been in the hockey media for quite some time now, is what kind of things do you see in hockey media that bother you, whether in this league or in other leagues? Like, is there anything you see that just irritates you?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. If you know what really we should do is have a camera or a recorder recording me all the time when I'm actually watching like ESPN or any of the sports programs. I think the thing that bothers me recently the most is, and this is really all media, kind of like going into the news side of things as well, but this also happens in sports, is that reporters or journalists or media personalities have stopped kind of double checking their work, right? When they hear something from a source, everybody's, big go-to is, well, I got this, from a reliable source, and then 2 days later it's reversed because that reliable source was wrong and you didn't double check your facts. I think there is some of that in the media that has kind of lost its way in a sense. There are things that are told to me by Brant, sometimes Andreas, sometimes by Brooks Hill, and I don't tell anybody any of those things because I can't validate that what they're telling me is accurate as well. So I sometimes will wait until it actually comes out either by the league or through the transactions page or whatever, because I'm taking it on their word, but I don't actually have that proof. When I did the interview earlier today with Austin Thompson, he basically said to me, he goes, hey, listen, before we talk, I need to tell you something. And what he needed to tell me was he was re-signing with the Black Bears. And so for me, before even releasing any of this, I had to talk to Brooks Hill. And I think that in some cases, media has stopped getting to validate this from 2 sources, not just grab the information, spill it out, and then have to retract and go, oh, I was wrong 2 days later. That's unfortunately happened. And it happens in the SPHL. It's happened in the NHL. It happens all throughout sports. And it kind of drives me bonkers. It's one of the things that I dislike a lot. The other thing I dislike, I like doing post-game interviews after games. What I don't like is when somebody loses and you give them 0 time to collect their thoughts before you stick a microphone in their face. That has bugged me for a long, long time. It happens in the NFL after a Super Bowl. All of a sudden, the team that loses the Super Bowl, there are 15 cameras, there are 15 microphones in their faces, and they're expected to say the right thing, and they can't always say the right thing. And then you go and you blame that person for not saying the right thing. That drives me bonkers. Let them go into the locker room, let them collect their thoughts, then have a conversation with them. After the Stanley Cup, same type of thing. Let them go into the locker room, bawl their eyes out if they need to, and then come out and be able to talk. So there are some things that have changed over the years that have led to those kind of moments, and that drives me nuts. That's very long-winded. I apologize. Let's go to question number 2.
All right, question number 2. How has your perspective on hockey changed since you started covering it? Because obviously you were there when we had the AHL team, and now we've gone down the line to the SPHL. Has your perspective on hockey changed throughout, having different leagues in the arena?
Well, actually, my perspective on hockey's changed a few different times. From being a kid and being solely a fan, you look at things differently than when you're in the media and you start talking to players and coaches and media type of personalities. So when I was a kid and I was a fan, I was just a fan, even through my 20s, when I was just a fan, I'd go to the games, the Binghamton Ranger games and the Binghamton Whaler games, BC Iceman games, and I was just a fan. I did react and talk to players and people differently than I did when I became, when I started the podcast in 2000 or 2003, 2004. When I started the podcast, I started talking to players. I talked to Don Biggs, who's one of the greatest AHL single season record holders in the AHL for the Binghamton Rangers in 92-93. I talked to him, and Brandon Bochenski, who was playing with the Senators at the time in the AHL. And all of a sudden, my perspective on how to talk to these guys became different. They were no longer superstars to me because I got to know them a little bit. They became more human beings, and I almost like colleagues, but not really colleagues, but more of I saw them differently because there's the same type of hard work that they do as you are trying to raise your child and just doing all the different things. And some of them have families, and all these things made my perspective on them change almost to a point where, and one of the mistakes that I feel happens sometimes in media is that people stop becoming fans. And so for a while, I wasn't really a fan anymore of teams, and I became more of, why is he doing this in the eyes of a media person? Instead of going, why is he doing this in the eyes of a fan who's also a media person? And there is a difference in that. When I brought the show back in 2023, I wanted to make it perfectly clear that I had all this years of experience doing this, but I am a Binghamton fan first. I'm a Binghamton hockey fan first, which means whether it's the Black Bears, the Devils, the Senators, AHL, the SPHL, it doesn't matter. I am always going to give you the best I can for Binghamton hockey because that's what I love. I've loved it since I was a kid, and I've gone to the games. But also at the same time, I'm going to let you know that a player is doing what he's doing because it is his job. Yes, it's a game and he's loving it. So there's a difference now. I'm going to bring the best content I can, but at the same time, really kind of just, let people know I'm still a fan. I still got so juiced up. And I was even so happy when I saw you and Jeremy out on the ice win championship. I don't know who snuck you on. I'm not going to get anybody into trouble. But, it was so cool that you guys were out there because to me, I was loving that moment as much as you guys probably were, just kind of looking around, and you guys were kind of like a little starstruck and you were like, what the heck's going on here? But it was pretty cool. So I'm going to enjoy it, but also at the same time, be very professional. The one thing that kind of bugged me about, and this goes back to the first question you asked me, right, is when the whole Blue Ridge thing happened and went down. I have years of experience at looking at situations where shit hits the fan, basically. And that's what happened in Blue Ridge. The shit hit the fan. And I basically told the fans, this is what I know, and this is how I understand of what happened. And unfortunately, someone from another team, the Blue Ridge Bobcats, took it out on me, somebody who I had on this show multiple times. And they basically called me names in the public without even talking to me. And that kind of hurts. But I didn't do that back. That's not what I did. So I'm going to provide the professionalism that I've learned how to do over the past 24 years of covering pro wrestling and hockey. And then also at the same time, provide, some fun and some energy and some excitement in what we do. So I hope that answers the question.
So my next question is not technically mine, and it's a two-parter.
Okay, fair enough.
So the first part of the question is, what is your opinion on them trying to remove fighting in hockey?
I understand both sides of the coin. Fighting in hockey is something that obviously goes back over 100 years. It's been in the sport for a very long time because of the high speed, the hits, the ability to use your stick as a weapon in such a way that fighting has just been incorporated in the game for so long. I can understand wanting to take it out of the game. Matter of fact, one of my earliest media friends in the world of the AHL was Dan Hickling. Now, Dan is a very religious man. He's a photographer, and he takes a ton of pictures. If you go to Elite Prospects and you look up almost any player, probably 3 out of 10 players you're going to look up is going to have a Dan Hickling picture as the profile picture in Elite Prospects. Dan Hickling is a great guy. I've had him on the show. Back in the early days of the Power Play Post Show, he came on the show and we talked. And he kind of wrote about hockey, but he also was just a big photographer as well. And Dan was a proponent of getting rid of fighting in hockey. And a big part of that was just part of his religious beliefs and just, belief that it probably did more damage to a player. But I think the really cool, unique thing about hockey is that guys can drop their gloves and fight. And it does bring a special thing to the game that no other sport has. And I just hope they don't ever get rid of it. Do I ever want to see another line brawl where every player comes off the ice and they go into the stands and do the things that happened back in the Duster days? These are things that happened in the Duster days, the Whaler days, us against Rochester. There was some crazy stuff that went down. I don't want to see that kind of stuff, but I definitely enjoy a good fight. CJ Stubbs had a great fight last year. One of his fights was just drop down awesome. A super heavyweight kind of fight. And I very much enjoyed that. So I'm not a proponent of getting rid of it, even though I do see the other side of it, of why people would like to get rid of it. Because one of the other reasons why they say get rid of it, they think that the sport will actually get better and more popular if you get rid of it. And I disagree with that, unfortunately. So what's the second part of that one?
The second part is who in your opinion is the best fighter from either like the early 2000s or all the way up until now?
If I had to pick a fighter, well, I'm not going to go in the NHL realms. I'm going to go in the AHL realms because I know Jeremy was a fan of the Senators, and I got to say that one of the best duos of fighters that I remember seeing. Now, this is a tough one for me. Bobby Robbins was on the show multiple times. I had a couple other fighters on the show. Brett Gallant was on the show. He played for the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. He was an excellent fighter. He was an interview that I almost didn't get because he didn't want to come on the show and talk about fighting because he was worried I was going to talk about fighting in a negative way. And that's not what I do. It's not how I approach an interview with a player. I want to get to know the player. I want to get to know the person. Okay, fine. He's a fighter in hockey. I will have to say that Dennis Bonvie and, Brian McGrattan were the two best guys to kind of fight in this, in the 2000s till now, in the AHL. And they both, Brian McGrattan was taught by Dennis Bonvie and what he showed him, because Brian McGrattan was not a good fighter when he first got here. When he first came in, he fought in juniors a little bit, but he wasn't a really good fighter. Dennis Bonvie had 1 year with him and taught him so many good skills that Brian McGrattan became a better fighter technically over Dennis Bonvie, even though Dennis Bonvie had a whole career of being a tough guy and fighting. But I watched some really great fighters, that one's a very tough question because I saw a lot of guys come through the American Hockey League that were really good fighters that did go up to the NHL and fought. Bobby Robbins was one of my favorites. I mean, that guy is he's a brick house. I mean, he just is just big, and he could pretty much take anybody down. But Brian McGrattan turned out to be one of the best fighters I ever saw. And I know he went up and he fought in the NHL. Ray Emery was a great fighter. Rest in peace, Ray Emery. It's a great question. It's a great two-part question. I think it's hard to pick the great fighters and who is the greatest or my favorite maybe. But the other question, there's a debate that you can go back and forth all the time on whether hockey, fighting should be in hockey or not. But it's a great question. I really do appreciate that one.
All right. My next question, you're either going to think it's super easy or you're going to have a really hard time with it. I'm not sure which way it's going to go.
Okay.
I got to thinking because, the past couple seasons, our power plays and our penalty kill teams have been, pretty good.
Outstanding.
So I was going to ask you if you had to pick one special team, so either the penalty kill or the power play, which team, like only one could be good, which one would you rather have them be good on compared to the other? Like which one's better to be good on?
You get more opportunities generally on the power play to score than you do on the penalty kill. That kind of really depends. This is a tough one.
I don't know. We had a lot of shorthanded goals last year.
We did. I'll be honest with you. With the way the game is played these days, I'd almost rather have the best power play, even if that means you have one of the worst penalty kills. Luckily for Binghamton, that really hasn't been a problem the last 2 years. And it's something I've talked about multiple times and how much better defensively this team has gotten. And that includes on the penalty kill, right? If you go back 4 years ago in the first season, their penalty kill wasn't that great. Defense didn't exist basically in the league. And I think in the last 3 or 4 years, coaches like Brant Sherwood have brought in guys that are good two-way forwards. And that's the big thing here. The defensemen weren't necessarily bad in the league. It was that the league didn't concentrate on having good two-way forwards who could play defensively and help their teammates out, help the goaltenders out, help the defensemen out, come back and help clear the puck. I'm going to have to say, just because of the fact that we are still living in the era of scoring a lot of goals, even though goaltending-wise and defensively recently in the Fed has gotten much, much better, I'm still going to go with power play. I think you really scoring goals is going to win you games more so than stopping the puck, if that makes any sense. I know defense wins championships, blah, blah, blah. But if you take a look at the Florida Panthers this year, the way they played the game, the way the Black Bears played the game, yeah, sure, there's a level difference, right? There's the NHL versus the Fed, right? But the two teams played very similar to each other. They both had good power plays, good penalty kills. They scored goals. They had good goaltending. That's really what it comes down to. And their defense stood out when it needed to be. But to answer your question, power play.
All right. Fair enough.
I think, was that the last one? Oh, no, last.
No, yeah, you got
one more.
This is the last one. So we've kind of had conversations about it before about even like taking our team and moving them up a different league, like the ECHL or something like that.
Sure.
And we've talked about how in the AHL compared to the Fed, you didn't have the player interactions, the player to fan interactions that we do now compared to when we had the AHL. So my question for you is, how has the atmosphere for you changed? Did you build relationships with the fans and the teams and the families that you do now? Did you do that kind of thing back then? Is it a lot different now? Is it a lot easier? How has that changed?
I think that, okay, yes, there are some relationships I still have with players and people from the AHL days. It's not the same, not even close. I would have to say that, and this is something that I hope the fans truly understand. When I did the 11 seasons of the Power Play Post Show in the AHL days, I talked to a lot of players. I talked to a lot of coaches. I talked to a lot of broadcasters. And I could probably reach out to a bunch of them and still say hello and have a conversation with them. However, when I brought the show back in 2023, in March of 2023, I had no idea that the engagement would be so different. Now, I was told by Rob Lapolis, who, by the way, became ECHL Broadcaster of the Year. Congratulations to our friend Rob Lapolis up in Adirondack, up in Glens Falls. Congratulations on becoming Broadcaster of the Year. I think that means now in the last 4 years, he's won that twice, once with Binghamton with the Black Bears and the Fed, and now up there. Everybody kind of told me that it was different, right? That the players come out and they talk with the fans, and the fans, go down to the corner. And when I got there at the arena and I saw this, and I was like, holy cow. But it also transpires out to me, right? I tell the stories of some of the players. I tell the stories of people who work in the Fed a little bit. And the interaction that I have, and we'll use Steve McAnanima as an example. There's a lot more accessibility now to the families and to the players for me as a media personality, I guess, than ever before. Now, you already had that with Steven before you even joined the show, right? You guys have been friends for over a year now. But that is a part that's really different than the AHL days. Like, there was no parent that ever talked to me about listening to their son on my show back in the AHL days. Never. But I've heard from multiple parents about them listening to the show, them seeking me out and saying hello and thank you for doing that. Taylor, to answer your question, it's completely different. It's completely different. The simple fact that I feel like my friendship with Don Oliveri is real is just how different it is. My friendship with Bobby Robbins is a little bit different. He was on the show probably like 10 times over 10 years, maybe, 9, 10 years. He was on the show about 10 times. And I know I could text him right now and get a response within 20 minutes. But it's a little bit different than I think my, kind of friendship and my relationship with Don Oliveri, where he seeks me out at the arena. LA, Liam Thompson or Liam Anderson coming up to the press box to seek me out, to say hello, to introduce himself after being on the show once. It's different. It is definitely different. I know people would love to go to the ECHL. First of all, financially, it's just never going to happen because the ownership group here is making good money. There's no reason for them to go and spend more money just to say we were in the ECHL. That's just not going to happen. The interaction in the ECHL isn't that far different than in the Fed. I don't want people to think that. There's probably 4 or 5 players that come down that have NHL contracts. Those guys you can't talk to, probably, right? They're not going to come out and sign autographs. They're not going to do that. But the rest of the team on the ECHL, they certainly can. They can come out and do anything that they want. Up in Adirondack, they have signing parties as well. Now, you might not get all the AHL guys to come out and do that, or the NHL guys to come out and do that up in Adirondack, but the ECHL guys, the guys that are career ECHLers, they're no better than the Fed guys. They're no better than the SP guys. They can come out and sign autographs and interact with the fans. But I just don't ever see us going to the ECHL unless somehow, some way, there's this huge moneymaker, stream of money coming in, right? Taylor, I don't know if you saw, but the Utah Grizzlies are up for sale. And I've already heard that they're going to possibly go to Trenton, New Jersey. And now, back in the day, there was the Trenton Titans. I was actually there, watched the Kelly Cup finals between them and the Florida Everblades. And so I've been there, seen that. But I've already heard rumors of them going there. And then someone piped up and said, well, why don't they just go to Binghamton, right? It's a great arena, great market. They're obviously doing very, very well. And I'm thinking to myself, because the ownership group here is not going to want to do that. They're not going to want to give up, $500,000 a year in profit or whatever it might be. I don't know the exact total. But yeah, it is different this time around for me in the Power Play Post Show. the interaction with the fans on the Facebook, social media, fans coming up to me and just saying hello. That didn't happen in the old days because I was covering the whole league and now I'm covering just this team. It's definitely different. I know, long-winded. My apologies.
It's all good. It was a good question. I liked hearing your answers, honestly.
I appreciate that. That was kind of good. I'm actually sweating now. I can't believe I don't usually answer questions. I'm usually asking the questions. So I can't believe I was sweating that much because of it. Okay, so we got like 3 more months before the season's going to start. What are you kind of looking forward to the most over the summer here? Is there anything in particular coming up that you're looking forward to the most? Is it the schedule? Is it signings? What is it that you're looking forward to the most?
I'm going to say the signings. I mean, I have my gut feeling on who I think is coming back or who could possibly stay, kind of a thing. And I'm just curious to know if my gut feeling is right or not. Mm-hmm. As far as the schedule, I want to know, like, you know, when we're going where and how many times we're playing a certain team. But for the most part, we try to travel and try to make as many games as possible. So the schedule to me is just kind of, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't control it anyways, right? I mean, it's going to come out and you can't really control the schedule. And unfortunately, without Hudson Valley, it adds either more games to Watertown and Danbury, which fans it's going to, or you travel more or further away. Now, do you think you and Jeremy could make it out to Topeka if they played in Topeka?
I wouldn't say it's not out of the question. He very much is I will go here just to say that I've been there kind of a person.
Yes.
So if it's, you know, if they have a weekend stint out there and we've got nothing else going on, there's a possibility that he does.
Okay. And he's also the guy that has on his phone every single concert he's ever gone to.
Yep. And the amount of people and how many times he's seen said person. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's one of the things that he and I have in common. I have a list. My list is not as big as his, although I've probably seen Metallica more times than he has, but that's besides the point. All right, let's get to the Austin Thompson interview. Fans, obviously, if you're living in Iraq and you're listening to this show before going anywhere on the internet, which would be kind of crazy if you did that, we all know Austin Thompson re-signed with the team. We talk a little bit about that with him. So coming up here on the Power Play Post Show is Austin Thompson. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers.
Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. And as a special guest here on the show, and of course, it's Thursday, and the Black Bears obviously just released and just announced that he is coming back to the team. I'm very excited to have here back on the show. He's one of my favorite people to talk to from the team. He is Austin Thompson. Tomer, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you, and it's great to be able to talk about the news of you coming back to Binghamton for your 4th season.
No, of course. I mean, thank you for having me on the show again for the 4th or 5th time, whatever it is now. It's always a pleasure to chat hockey and life, I guess.
Yeah, Tomer, let's talk a little bit about it. Was it an easy decision? I mean, obviously, you know that Tyson's back, and you know that Brant Sherwood is coming back. Was it an easy decision to come back and play with the Black Bears for a 4th season?
It definitely made it hard not to come back. I mean, talking with my family, obviously with Vanessa and the little nephew, he always wanted me to come back for another year of hockey. He's been saying it since we just finished up and winning the championship again.
Really?
And obviously, yeah.
He's actually got that on his mind that he wants you to play another season?
One more year. Yep,
really?
One more year. Yep.
That's
we
pretty.
Had so much fun the last 2, so
that's pretty.
At least the last 2 that we won.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive though. That he's because he's a young guy, right? How old is he?
He just turned 3.
And he's already thinking like that. So for you, pretty easy decision to come back.
Yeah, it's definitely a very easy decision to come back.
Let's talk a little bit about, your third season. Obviously an improvement in goals, improvement in assists, points, 77 points. Can you talk a little bit about what you think the difference was for you this past year?
I think just obviously confidence is huge, but just playing with the line mates that I've had, Ollie, Kirks, and now Stubbs, like I said after the championship interview, it's just knowing where they are now. It's been 3 years since I played, or at least 2.5 years with Kirks on the line. So kind of just reading off each other, knowing we're going to be 2 years playing with Ollie. It just almost comes second nature to be in the right spot and know the guy's tendencies and know where to get open and how to get open.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, you play a lot of video games, right? You play like the Call of Duty type of games, and it's kind of important to know where your teammates even there are as well. It kind of goes hand in hand, correct?
Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah. And again, obviously living with Tyson, I mean, you see the guy all day for the whole season, so you just can't get rid of him. And obviously it's picked up tendencies again, just being around him and playing games with him and some of the other guys like Ando, and just hang out with the guys all the time. You're bound to learn a couple things or pick up on a couple things. And
that really does kind of translate onto the ice as well.
Yes, it does, because it's just easy communication. Like, say a couple words and you're there, instead of like the whole line of, oh, I'm wide open or pass it. It's just kind of like a yep or whatever, and the voice, where to give it, and where they want it.
Tomer, going into this upcoming season, this fourth season, was something that you and I have talked about a couple different times over the past 3 years, is you getting that look-see up in the, the SPHL or the ECHL. Does that weigh on you at all?
I'm sure after the fact it will eventually, but right now, obviously I want it, or at least a shot to prove that I can play there, but it's just almost whatever now. Kind of getting over it, but I'm sure in a few years from now, or God willing, I have a couple kids and talk about hockey, it's definitely going to be in the back of my mind thinking that, I knew I could have played there, but I just never, So now you just sound like one of those people that say, I could have got drafted, but I blew up my knee in high school.
Sure. But when you look back at these past 3 years, you're not unhappy with those 3 years, right?
No, absolutely not. I'm happy with, it's hard to be sad when you win 2 championships back to back and your point total goes up and you're having more fun with the guys you're with. And obviously the fans around me, being 3 years in the organization, around the people, you start to build friendships that could last a lifetime.
Yeah. And the fans here in Binghamton, what have the fans, meant to you guys on this team? The Binghamton fans have had hockey for a very long time. They really have always expected or wanted, multiple championships and at a high level of success, but it's you guys that have given it to them. How have they reacted to you guys, in your opinion?
It was definitely a give and take. Obviously, the first year that the Black Bears were in town, I wasn't around. Mm-hmm. And from what I've heard, it was kind of like touchy. Like, most people didn't want to go watch the games because it's a Fed, it's not AHL hockey, yada, 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 all that other smoke that they blow. Mm-hmm. And then over the last few years, it's hard to not like a team when they start winning. And when we started winning, the fans started to come more to the games, and now we're selling out arenas to a random Friday night game, which against not a rival team. And now we have fans traveling to Virginia to watch us play, or Mississippi to watch us play, which is absolutely insane, knowing that wherever you're playing, you're going to have fans watching and supporting you. And when you're on the road and the home teams want to boo you, you still hear your fans cheering for you on goals and whatnot.
Yeah, you guys have had a pretty big contingent go to Watertown, to Danbury. Do you guys really notice them when you're even on the ice? And I know most players say, no, I block it out. But do you guys really notice the fans when you're out on the road? Do you notice them in the stands?
Personally, usually it's during warm-ups. There's a couple times during warm-ups I'll just peek around, or even before the game I go out and do my warm-ups outside by the rink, and you see the fans either rolling in, or you see green in Watertown's arena, which is all blue. Mm-hmm. So there's the fans there. Then last season I sat out that one weekend in Watertown and just looking at the whole section of Black Bears fans, holy cow, this is crazy, because they're louder than the home team fans.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Obviously, there's some new teams coming in. Do you want to even get out to Topeka to see what Topeka's like?
No, I'm good. I don't need that long road trip.
You don't want to be in a bus that long, right?
No. I don't think anyone does.
No, I totally understand that. Austin, there's a lot of talk about whether or not, Don Oliveri will come back. Will he retire? He was picked up by Topeka in the expansion draft, and that was going to be either expected last year or this year. Is there a guy on the team that can kind of fill that Oliveri role, that Don father kind of role? Because he does have a certain element about him. So if he doesn't return, is there a guy, one of the young guys that you see that could fill that role a little bit?
No, he's one of a kind. There's only one Don father in Binghamton, and no one's going to replace him.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's the whole package. It's on ice, off ice stuff. He's a special breed. He's Italian, so it makes sense.
Fair enough.
I can say that now because the fiance is Italian. So
okay, gotcha. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Just in the past week, you got engaged. I think her name's Vanessa, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you do something big and crazy? Because I know a lot of times these days, whether it's, the announcement of, boy or girl, when it comes to people are doing these big elaborate things. Did you do something elaborate? How did you do it? How did you propose?
Luckily, she's not one for the big extravaganzas. She said it had to not be in public and not around family.
Really?
So it was either going to be either a weekend getaway somewhere, but then she knows that I'm about to ask a question. So instead, had the house to myself for the weekend. The plan was to make her a nice dinner and wine and diner, but she kind of ruined the surprise. She thought she got wind of something was going on, even though I didn't tell anybody.
Right.
It was just telling her, "Oh, you got to come over for dinner." Well, why are we going over for dinner? Type of thing. And then I still had some stuff to unpack from New York, put away, and I kind of hid the ring and wanted there when she was looking to help me unpack, and she ended up finding it and asked her.
Really?
So want to marry me? Yeah.
So basically, you hid the ring. She found the ring, and then you asked her.
Yes, which was a plan all along. I set it up so she could find it so it could go down.
Now, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a very cool way of doing it. Again, not over the top or anything like that. How long have you known Vanessa?
Since grade school, honestly.
Really?
Probably since 4, 5.
Wow.
But the typical didn't like each other, went to high school together, didn't like each other, couldn't stand each other. And then where I was playing junior, her cousin was playing AAA hockey there, so I just reached out, and then we went out for ice cream, and next thing you know, 9 years later, here we are.
Wait. So you guys didn't like each other through most of school, and then you asked her out for ice cream, and that changed the whole thing.
Yeah, school was done, so I think that ship sailed. And then, she said yeah.
That's very cool. That's very cool. That's a big change, right? I mean, getting engaged and, doing that commitment, that's a pretty big thing, especially, you're going into your 4th year now. We, as we know, and some of the guys are like, having kids and things of that nature. This is still a pretty big step for you, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a big step. I mean, might be a little harder this year. Instead of having a girlfriend back home, it's now the fiance back home while I'm in New York for 8 months. But I mean, she supported me for hockey through the 9 years we've been together. She's been encouraging me to keep playing. And now, like I said earlier, I got the nephew on my side telling me to keep playing. It's hard to say no to that kid. So
that's awesome. Me out. Now, what is your nephew's name?
Charlie.
Now, Charlie, I think, was probably the cutest person in any of the pictures that we're taking on Championship Ice Night. I hate to say it. I know there's a lot of girlfriends. I know there's a lot of girlfriends and wives and people out there, but Charlie was probably the cutest thing that probably got taken a picture of on Championship Night. How often did Charlie get to come down and watch you play hockey?
So the Michigan games, he would always come down in Porter, Motor City. It kind of sucks now that Motor City's done, so that's one less weekend. And then I'd say about 3 times, and then playoffs, obviously, they try to come down. The finals are always down. They were down last year, too, for the finals, but it's usually a couple weekends. Whenever we have back-to-back home games, they try to make a trip down.
And how often did Vanessa get down? About the same amount of time?
A couple more times because luckily she's able to fly from Detroit to the Binghamton Airport, and I can pick her up there.
She is. So
yeah, which helped a lot.
No, that's very cool. Because that drive, if you go through Canada, it's not that bad, but if you got to go around the lakes, that really sucks.
Yeah, it's not too bad going through Niagara Falls way, but it's still like a 7.5, 8 hour drive, which you drive up Thursday night or Friday morning, then you leave Sunday. It makes for a long weekend.
Now, Austin, you guys won 2 championships. That's great. Florida just won 2 championships. I think the Minnesota Frost won back-to-back, if I remember correctly. Is it going to be, it's got to be the hardest thing in the world to do 3, right? I mean, I know Florida made it to 3. They lost the first one to Vegas, and then they won the last 2. Can you guys legitimately win 3 in a row?
I mean, even winning 1 is hard, 2 is unheard of, and 3 would just be legendary, I think. That's why I've been joking all summer saying we got to get the Triple Crown, get the 3rd one. And I mean, a lot of guys are returning I think are returning.
Yeah.
Not so many retired. A couple got picked up from obviously the expansion draft, but I think the core is still coming back. Everyone knows what to expect. I know obviously Scherzy's third and a half year or whatever.
Yeah.
3rd year coming in after winning back-to-back championships. He knows what to expect from guys, and having that veteran leadership that's coming back again will definitely help the rookies like we did this past season.
So where does the hunger come from? Where does the drive? I mean, when you win 2 championships in a row, you got to imagine it's hard to get up every single day and put on the skates and do your best. Even just look at the first couple games of the regular season last year. I mean, I don't pick on you for anything, but those first 2 games for you maybe weren't the greatest. And then you came out in Hudson Valley down on the road and had 3 goals and 2 assists or 5 points, something crazy like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And then coach was like, all right, you're back on the first line again, right? So
yeah.
How do you get that drive, that hunger to win a 3rd championship?
It's just, I don't know, to me it's never enough. I mean, yeah, we won 2, but how many teams have won 3? None, because we were the first ones to win 2, so why not be the first to try to win 3 again? So, I mean, that's a good drive, and obviously the first weekend last year I don't really count as playing 2 games. I call that just a fluke, whatever. It doesn't count. The season started the next weekend after, but no, I think just everyone hates losing, and knowing what it feels like to win just keeps driving you to try to win more.
And an 851 winning percentage, that's crazy. Like, that doesn't just happen. Teams don't win that much, and you guys dominated. Some people even said, and not myself or the people close really to the team that much, but there were a lot of people outside looking in at the Black Bears that said, this team could play in the ECHL. What are your thoughts on stuff like that when you hear people say stuff like that?
It's definitely a compliment to the coach, obviously to Scherzy and to the players on the team. I mean, the 851 win percentage, you look at the wins, they're not all the same. We're not blowing teams out.
No.
We were losing and we came back. We held on to a tight lead. We won in overtime. I don't think there was a shootout we won this year. I don't even know if we made it to a shootout. If we did, I don't remember winning it. But
you guys lost it, actually. It was your only overtime loss was
Hudson
a shootout.
Valley.
No, it was actually in Danbury, and Josh LaBelle scored it in the 8th round.
Yes, that's right. So I mean, we went to 1 shootout, we lost a shootout, so we knew we had to win in overtime if it was a tied game.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, I mean, fans say it to like rip on us. The opposing fans say that like we shouldn't be in this league. I think they're just mad because our players are better, but it's a compliment to everyone on the team saying or getting recognized from not even our own fan base of how good we are.
So with no Venom coming up this upcoming season, you guys are going to play the hat tricks in the Watertown Wolves a little bit more, probably 16 times per team. That can get a little bit boring for fans, maybe even broadcasters and people like myself. How do you guys stay engaged to beat Danbury and Watertown, say maybe 28 out of 32 times?
I mean, for the players, you got that rivalry. Watertown and Danbury guys are definitely getting sick and tired of losing to us, so they're always going to bring it their best, and it's always rewarding to beat, especially Danbury. Mm-hmm. at their rink. I mean, it's just nothing better than shutting their fans up. It's amazing. And I'm sure once the rookies figure that out after our first games there, they'll understand that too. And I mean, Binghamton's the best place to play. So no matter who we play, we're going to get their best, and everyone wants to either get traded here or whatnot. So your job's always on the line, and you always got to play your best no matter who it is.
Absolutely. Okay. So what is the summer looking like for you? Any big plans? Are you going anywhere? Any vacation that you can talk about?
Right now, it's been kind of laid back, just hanging out at the house and working with the Dockside Fisheries, the company that I've been with for 9 years now. And
wow.
I think I got a bachelor party lined up in August for Nashville. One of my close buddies from college is going to get married in September.
Nice.
And then I got a couple family weddings as well. So I got a family wedding in August, one in September, I think one in October, in November too. So it'd be a nice conversation to have with Schurzy now. I just found out. And then a couple trips to Florida, obviously to help renovate the house. They just got the approval to start working on the house down there. So that's just a matter of time before I head down there and sweat bullets.
And that's what, like a 2-week project, right?
Yeah, it's their family cousin's also going to come with me. So it's up to him, I guess. He's going to be more on a tighter schedule than I am, but who knows, 2 weeks, a week, and go back again. It all depends. Well, not sure yet. We haven't got there yet.
Well, Austin, congratulations on re-signing with the Black Bears. Congratulations on the engagement with Vanessa. That is so very cool. I can't wait to see Charlie again at the arena. That'll be very, very cool. They'll have to get him like on the big screen and everything.
Bingo's number one fan.
Yeah, he was just so cute. And you were getting him to hold up the fingers, the two.
Oh yeah.
That was so very cute. But congratulations on all that. Have a phenomenal summer. Thank you for coming back on and talking with us again. We haven't done a show in 4 weeks, and guess what? You were the last person I talked to before we took this break.
Only fitting.
Yeah, and but at the same time, we didn't get a lot of time in. It was at the end of the celebration, and of course, your engagement with Vanessa made me think I gotta have Austin back on to talk about it, because it makes you a human, right? I've said this many times. Fans will come up and they treat you guys like superstars, and that's awesome, and you guys are great. But you're also human beings still. And I try to expose that side of it. Like, you guys are still human, just like the rest of us. We all get engaged. We all have a cute little Charlie running around and stuff like that. So thank you so much, very much, for coming back on. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait to see you in training camp when everybody gets back. And it'll be a pretty good time. And congratulations on everything.
Of course. Thank you for having me again. And thank you for everything. And look forward to seeing you in October.
Awesome. He is Austin Thompson from the Binghamton Black Bears, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Austin Thompson, and it's still me and Taylor here. Taylor, before I let you go, okay, so we have probably coming up next week a very different type of interview that I'm probably going to do with one of the goaltenders. We'll just say it that way, okay? But I want to ask you this question. Do you like the interviews where we go way off topic, we don't talk about hockey at all? Or do you like the interviews where we just stick completely to hockey and the team?
I think it depends. Like, for example, like the Kyle Steffen interview, just kind of hearing his perspective and like him, going through the motions of probably not coming back and, just that kind of stuff. I think it's really good for fans to hear. And I think they enjoy hearing that kind of stuff. 'Cause it kind of it makes you feel like it's more than just hockey. It makes you feel like this is a huge community, a huge family, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's not just the team, it's not just the fans. Like, it just makes it kind of feel like it's all together, and just makes you feel like you're that much closer to somebody. But at the same time, the hockey talk's also great.
I agree. It was weird. After I was done with the Kyle Steffen interview, I didn't have to re-listen to it. I knew it was already a good interview. That's, it's not me trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that. I think a good portion of that was Kyle, right? And the way Kyle opened up to me and really honestly to you, the fans, which I thought was pretty cool. But that was an interview I didn't expect to get out of Kyle that day.
Yeah, I think it definitely tugged on some heartstrings, and I think it makes it more personable, because when you're at the games and, the game's over and everyone's all hyped up and, they just had a big win or they won the championship, everybody's all excited, and it's all like, it's always been like a high, and, you go out and you get your signings or you get your pictures, and you usually have like a quick exchange with the players, where the interviews, when you get to know them on that kind of a level, I think just brings more out of them and just makes the fans just that much more interested.
Yeah. And I didn't expect to get what I got out of him. I'll be honest. When I talked to Brant Sherwood a couple days beforehand, he said, "Hey, yeah, can you ask Kyle if he's going to come back? Because he kind of made it sound like he didn't want to come back, or he wasn't going to come back, and that he was possibly done." And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, I can. I mean, I can broach the subject. I do that with pretty much all the guys during the summertime. Hey, we'll see you back here next year, right? That type of thing." And Kyle really kind of just laid it on the line. I did not expect it. Now, of course, Kyle could still change his mind and come back, but it really sounded like he was set on moving on with his life and making the decision himself to walk away, not have it pulled away like during the COVID year, which then he took 4 years off and had a couple years of just kind of, hey, listen, what am I supposed to do with my life? I've been doing this for the last 19, 20, 25 years, whatever it is. And what do I do now? And he went through that for 4 years, and he kind of explained that very articulately, that kind of feeling. And then he even said, listen, if any of the other guys are out there thinking about this and they're having problems getting through this, to call him. I thought that was so effing mature of Kyle. I can't even explain it. And I'm kind of glad we brought it up a little bit here, because I think it needed to be talked about. What Kyle did in that interview was so good, not just for him and the fans, but maybe even for other players.
Yeah, I think him just kind of talking about, if you're unsure about quitting or, wanting to stop or anything like that, if you're unsure about it, like, don't give up yet. Because even he says, like, you have to have some kind of plan in motion.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just stop and then have nothing, because then you're just going to destroy yourself mentally. Where the other players from previous years, Connor Smith, he had a job he couldn't pass up.
Yep.
Andrew Logar, he got a house and he's living his life, kind of a thing. When you hear about players doing that kind of stuff, yes, everybody's sad to see them leave, because, nobody ever wants them to leave. It's just, that's everybody loves you, kind of a thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's also really nice to know that they have moved on and they are doing well in life, and, they're doing the things that they want to do.
Yeah, I think it's, I wish Kyle nothing but the best. He is, if you're a fan and you've never spoken to Kyle Steffen, you've seen him, you're a fan of his, you've watched him play, you've cheered when he scored goals, you like him, but you've never talked to him, you guys are missing out. He's such a super sweet, nice guy. I hope that came off on the couple interviews that I have done with Kyle. He's just, and every time I saw him, he would just come up and say hello. He's so very polite. And that really speaks towards Brant Sherwood and the culture and the type of character guys he wanted to bring in. And guess what? They won a championship. Oh, wait. And they won 2 championships. And I now have, by the way, before we go, I want to let everybody know, because I know some people have seen the picture of me in the really small, tiny championship, back-to-back championship shirt. I now have one that fits. I've received one that has an XL on it and not a medium on it, and it fits really well. Just thought I'd say
that other one fit you just fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's funny. No, that's so not true. All right. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and do it. Just do it now. If you haven't done it now, just go do it now. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. We have a really great Binghamton Black Bears section over on binghamtonhockey.net, so check it out. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC. Oh, also the ECHL's Gold Broadcaster of the Year, John Patitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, Austin Thompson. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.